The air in the National Board of Accountancy Testing Center was a suffocating blend of sterile antiseptic and the ghost of burnt coffee. It was a place of high stakes and silent anxieties, where futures were decided by the scratch of a pen. A large, unforgiving sign loomed over the entrance on time. No exceptions. Approved beverages only. Amara Washington, a 45-year-old woman with a gentle face and eyes that held a quiet fire, moved through the nervous crowd. The soft curve of her 6-month pregnancy was a gentle promise beneath her professional attire. She was here for her advanced accounting certificate, the key to a promotion, a stable future, and her son's college education. This piece of paper wasn't a luxury, it was a lifeline. Her chance to break a cycle of financial hardship that had shadowed her family for generations. She clutched her phone, the screen displaying the digital confirmation. She had meticulously arranged a medical exemption for a single 500 milliliter bottle of water to manage her pregnancy-induced hypoglycemia, complete with a doctor's note. There were no loopholes. She presented her ID to Gregory Finch, a man in his 50s with severe salt and pepper hair and a face that seemed chiseled from granite. His gaze was cold and clinical as it swept over Amara. As the center's long-standing manager, Gregory saw himself as the gatekeeper of success, and he had a rigid, unspoken image of who deserved to pass through. Amara did not fit his mold. Please like and subscribe to our channel to motivate us to write more meaningful stories. We would love to hear your thoughts. Another one, he thought, a familiar contempt coiling in his gut. Always trying to bend the rules, to muscle their way into places they don't belong. Your documentation is non-compliant, Gregory stated, his voice a blade cutting through the lobby's low hum. You'll have to dispose of the water. He paused, a cruel smirk touching his lips as his eyes dropped to her belly. Frankly, I'm surprised you're attempting an exam in your condition. This is a serious assessment, not a casual affair. You're clearly overextending yourself. The words were a deliberate humiliation, meant to chip away at her confidence. Amara's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice steady. I have submitted all the required documents, sir, including the digital stamp from the organizing committee. The regulations state this is sufficient. I am perfectly capable of completing this exam. Gregory sneered, waving her papers away. To him, her calm defiance was insolence. Regulations are regulations, he snapped. We don't make exceptions for people looking for excuses. From behind the counter, an administrative assistant named Clara Jensen watched, a knot of indignation tightening in her stomach. She had personally processed Amara's approved exemption and had seen Gregory's brand of petty tyranny before, often directed at candidates who looked different or seemed vulnerable. Clara was afraid of Gregory. He often boasted of his connections, especially his unshakable relationship with the organization's highest authority, Director Croft, who was also his brother. This connection made Gregory feel untouchable. The tension was thick enough to taste. Finally, mustering her courage, Clara spoke up. Mr. Finch, I've just double-checked the system. Ms. Washington's medical provision is pre-registered and fully approved. All her documents are in order. A dark look flashed across Gregory's face, annoyed at being contradicted. But faced with the digital proof, he relented with a clipped nod. His eyes, however, remained locked on Amara, glinting with a new, menacing focus. "Very well," he hissed, "but the bottle stays on the proctor's desk, and I will be supervising you personally. The slightest infraction, the barest hint of misconduct, and you will be disqualified. Am I understood?" Amara nodded, swallowing the bitter taste of injustice. "He wants me to fail," she thought, a shiver running down her spine. "I have to be flawless." The examination room was cold and silent. As Amara placed her water bottle on the central desk, she could feel Gregory Finch's eyes burning into her back. He made a show of supervising her, pacing slowly around her desk, his presence a constant, suffocating pressure. He would stop, stare, clear his throat loudly, or tap his pen, each small act designed to shatter her concentration. He was asserting his dominance, confident that his brother, Director Croft, would back any decision he made to maintain order. Amara fought to block him out, her son's future a mantra in her mind. "I will not let his prejudice defeat me." Hours into the exam, a fragile silence had settled over the room. Suddenly, Gregory Finch shot to his feet, his chair screeching against the floor. He pointed a rigid finger at Amara, a poisoned arrow in the quiet hall. "Candidate 42!" he boomed, his voice a whip crack of accusation. "You are cheating. I observed you looking at another candidate's paper." Amara jumped up, her chair crashing backward. Shock gave way to a firestorm of fury. "No, they can't do this. They are trying to destroy my life. I did no such thing," she declared, her voice trembling but firm. "I was looking at the clock. This is defamation. You have no evidence." Gregory strode toward her, pulling a crumpled file from under his arm. He held up a page with faded text. "We have a record of an A. Washington committing a similar violation last year. It seems you have a history of disciplinary issues." His eyes rolled with theatrical weariness. "We see your type all the time, always causing trouble." Humiliation, hot as acid, rose in Amara's throat. "I have never taken an exam here before. That report is not mine. Check my identification. I demand you review the camera footage." The room was entombed in a suffocating, complicit silence. A young man in the front row started to raise his head, but a single, knife-like glare from Gregory sent him shrinking back into his seat. The other candidates stared fixedly at their papers, their discomfort a palpable wave in the air, but no one spoke. They were prisoners of their own ambition, too afraid to risk their futures for a stranger. "You will leave now, or I will call security," Gregory snarled, his voice low and menacing. "I decide who takes exams here. Director Croft, my brother, has complete faith in my judgment. Do you really think you can challenge me?" He stepped closer, his finger inches from her face. You were caught. You are disqualified. Your exam is void. Tears finally spilled, but Amara's eyes blazed with defiance. She swept her gaze across the room one last time, a silent plea that was met with bowed heads. She was utterly alone. You will pay for this, a voice vowed inside her. I will not give up. With agonizing slowness, she gathered her belongings, her pride a shield against the pitying stares. The heavy door slammed shut behind her, and the frantic scratching of pens resumed, a desperate sound of a room trying to forget. Stumbling down the sterile corridor, Amara felt the world tilt on its axis. She sank into a chair in the lobby, her hands protectively cradling her belly as she fought for breath. Her fingers trembled as she dialed her sister's number. "Serena," she choked out, her voice broken by sobs. They kicked me out. They accused me of cheating. They said I was trouble." "Amara, breathe," came her sister's immediate, resolute voice. "Tell me where you are. I'm on my way. They will not do this to you. You are not alone." 20 minutes later, the main doors of the center burst open. Serena Washington entered like a force of nature, her presence radiating an authority that silenced the lobby. A lawyer with a formidable reputation for fighting for the marginalized, she brushed past a security guard, flashing her credentials. "I am Serena Washington," she announced, her voice ringing with command. "I need to speak with the person in charge. Now." She found Amara, a statue of despair, and wrapped her in a firm embrace. "Tell me everything." As Amara recounted the nightmare, Serena's expression hardened into steel. She immediately called a high-ranking contact within the national organization, but was met with a wall of bureaucracy. "We will review the complaint," a detached voice said. "Director Croft is a very busy man. The process will take time." The protective shield around Gregory and his brother was strong. This would be a war. The days that followed were an agonizing blur. The accusation hung over Amara's future like a guillotine. Then, a breakthrough. Clara Jensen, the administrative assistant, approached them secretly. "I couldn't stay silent," Clara whispered, her hand trembling as she handed over a USB drive. She had risked everything: her job, a lawsuit from the powerful Croft brothers, to do what was right. "He's done this before. The report he used was a forgery. The security footage proves Amara is innocent. It's all here. Emails, system logs, everything." Armed with Clara's explosive evidence, Serena escalated the fight. Initial responses from the media were lukewarm, but a young, tenacious investigative journalist saw the deep-seated injustice in the story. He interviewed Amara, Serena, and the incredibly brave Clara. The resulting article, detailing the blatant discrimination at the testing center, was published in a major online journal and went viral. It exploded across social media, sparking national outrage and attracting the attention of civil rights organizations. Under the crushing weight of public pressure and a formal state audit, the center's pristine reputation crumbled. Gregory Finch was fired immediately, his career in ruins, and he soon faced a series of civil lawsuits from other victims Clara's evidence had uncovered. Director Croft, after a futile attempt to suppress the investigation and protect his brother, was forced to hold a terse press conference where he announced his resignation for personal reasons. His reign was over. For her courage, Clara was headhunted by a prominent human rights organization, where she was given a senior role to continue her fight for justice. And Amara, her spirit unbroken, retook her exam. This time, she was met with deference and respect. She didn't just pass, she achieved the highest score in the state. The victory was quiet, personal, and sweeter than she could have imagined. The center, forced to reform, issued a public commitment. New, transparent protocols were implemented, medical exemptions required dual-staff verification. All camera footage was subject to independent audit, and accusations of misconduct now required irrefutable video evidence. Most importantly, mandatory, comprehensive bias and diversity training was implemented for all staff, from proctors to the new director. Weeks later, a small, gleaming brass plaque was installed next to the entrance. Respect, equity, transparency. It was a promise forged in fire. Amara stood before it, a soft smile on her face. She held her phone to her ear, her voice full of love and pride as she spoke to her son, who would be born into a world she had fought to make a little bit fairer. Your grandmother always told me that no door stays closed forever if you knock long enough and stand for what's right, she said softly. Today, my son, a door opened. Not just for me, but for everyone. And we won. Head held high, she walked toward the entrance, no longer just a building, but a symbol of irreversible change. If this story of resilience and justice resonated with you, consider sharing it. Stories like these remind us of the incredible power of standing together for what is right.